It's on. Can you hear me? Yeah. So first of all, good afternoon, everyone. Mr. Rajnish Kumar, I must especially thank you for your presence here. I think your contribution to the Indian economy is very well known, but your contribution to FICCI, that we've had the pleasure of having you, hearing you, I think thrice in the last 5 months is really a distinct pleasure, and we look forward to more interactions in the future. Murli, your generous introduction, but also your thoughtful planning of how this session is going to be, clearly augurs for a very nice year under your chairmanship in Telangana. So look forward to having some exciting programs with you. I think flow has always been an important and an integral part. So Soma, you represent the women force of the entire society, and we, are very happy to have you integrate further with FICCI and bring to bear some of the potential of unleashing the power of women in society and in business. Mr. Krishna Reddy, other seniors who are in the audience, and each one of you, I want to especially acknowledge Mr. M.B.N. Rao, and specialist in the banking sector and also on the economy, but everyone else, and of course, Dilip. Good afternoon, and thank you very much for your warm welcome. It truly is the first official program after taking over as president, and it seems quite appropriate that it's in my home city. So thank you all. It's a great pleasure to be here. I think that in terms of the economy, just a few very, very quick comments before we really hand over to the expert. And in summation, while we seem to, 24 months ago, we were looking at a very different prospect in terms of where India was going, what was our trajectory. We would be the shining star in the global map. It was 10% growth, 12% GDP growth, all kinds of tremendous projections. And we've been through, I think, 24 months of ups and downs, various aspects, actually tremendous inflow or cash influx into the economy through an interesting route, which is elections, which also happened in this time. But despite that, I think just in very brief summary, and my caveat is that I'm not an expert on economy, but basically what is staring not just me in the face and every corporate in the face, but every Indian in the face, is a combination of a slowdown in consumption, which is at the core of a lot of our problems. Whether someone wants to buy a motorcycle or a car, the first question they're asking themselves is, can we postpone that? Discretionary purchases like jewelry and clothes and FMCG and air conditioners and automobile are all being postponed. And this delay in consumption is either fueled by a scare of loss of jobs, an overall growth prospects, or the fact that indeed there's a certain uncertainty in the air. Adding to that is the fact that overall the investment climate is looking weak. On one hand, you see the stock market looking fairly good, but all of us know that the entire growth of the stock market is coming from 10 to 15 major stocks. Everyone else has either stood stagnant or fallen back. The second aspect is that there is an overall slowness in terms of the investment. And again, while FDI looked good, FDI into manufacturing sector was under 34%. And FDI in services is actually a significant underlying factor that international companies or multinationals are bringing in through FDI route into their own back offices here. So what that is doing is actually tapping the Indian brain power to fuel global companies' growth, and with a minimal impact on the Indian economy. And this is another interesting factor. The third factor after consumption and slowdown of investment, and the slowdown of investment is all over, what happened in the banking sector, some probably bitter pills which needed to be swallowed, but I think at the end of the day I can speak on what an outsider views the banking sector, and Mr. Kumar will speak much better about this, is I think the banking sector has emerged stronger for it. The number of NPAs is hopefully down, the PSB consolidation is a positive step. The screening and the methodology for looking at investment is strengthened, and therefore the overall sector should be stronger. However, I believe the road has much more distance to be traveled, and the use of technology in that is one significant factor. But really, Mr. Rajnish Kumar, we look forward to hearing more from you on that. The final thing which I think as FICCI we do need to talk about is the entire aspect of structural reform. In a recent report which was brought out by FICCI, it is estimated that there are more than 8,000 different clearances, permissions, license processes which have to be done for a single manufacturing company to open. And if you look at the amount of time as was actually conveyed to some of the senior leadership in this country, is that board meetings now spend 3 to 5 hours with lawyers, audit and compliance, rather than talking about growth and innovation as we should be doing. So this combination of aspects is one aspect slowing down the economy, but on the other I believe it gives us a great opportunity. And that opportunity is to bounce back, and I hope that 2020 is the year that we find a way to do that. I believe that everybody is ready for that change, but I also believe that the $5 trillion roadmap can be achieved only if all of us find a way to work together. Industry cannot do it alone, however powerful the spirit of the Indian entrepreneur is. Banking cannot do it alone, we need to clap hands to actually make that happen, and governments cannot do it alone, we need the people and the population. Notwithstanding the problems related to unemployment, the social fabric, the need to ramp up in terms of education and healthcare, and all the other large macro problems, I think one which needs significant call out again is the need for major reform in the agri sector and significant boost in the export. Because India's being only 1.7% of the global stage in terms of export is a huge opportunity. What can we do there? And agri, as we sit on 2x of our food safety in terms of grains, which are stored and stored quite badly across the country, what can we do to unlock this power and this toil of the Indian farmer to make India into the global food basket? So, adding a lot more significant questions into this overall discussion and dialogue and debate, I just want to end once again by saying that together we can. And together we should, because we owe it not just to our own potential as a country, but also to our future generations. Because having reached this momentum in India's history, both economic and developmental, it would not be the right time for us to slow down. Let's find a way to change gears and rev up. Whether it is giving a steroid dose in the way of capital. And this is one thing that I think we as industry believe, that notwithstanding any impact it may have on the fiscal deficit, the government must find ways to induce at least 1 to 2 lakh crores into the economy to boost construction and infrastructure once again, to clear up the backlog of pending payments which is happening everywhere, whether it's in corporate or in healthcare to CGHS or it's in construction, but everywhere is a clogging of payments. So the need to put a stimulus in terms of financial, the need for structural reforms, the need for the sentiment boost and therefore a consumption boost to re-accelerate the economy are really broadly the things we're thinking. Let me end by one note on FICCI, and that is I look forward to a very, very participative year. So please feel free to write into the committee chairs, into your state chair, into the secretariat or to me. Give us your suggestions and we will do our best to really be the voice that represents industry on policy and change and future thinking movement for the country. Thank you all very much and all the best, Murli.
I think I need